y'all, welcome to another video. What is wrong with my hand? Today we are going to be diving into the CD collection you see behind me and focus on one of my favorite bands of all time, Dramarama, alternative rock band, influences from bands like Television and Velvet Underground and Rolling Stones, early Rolling Stones, things like that. Great alternative rock band, college rock band, birthed in the 80s in New Jersey. They used to own their own record store, a couple of the guys, or at least one of the guys, I think Chris Carter, the bass player, owned a record store, and the band kind of were born in the basement of that record store. The guys were all from that area, and they would go and sort of rehearse in the basement, and didn't tour a lot or play shows a lot back then when they were starting out. They were really just kind of home recordings and stuff and just playing, and it wasn't until a little bit later when they started doing more live shows. So it wasn't like a band that were out playing clubs in New Jersey and everything like that for years and years and then kind of made a record. It was sort of like they were kind of, just making demos and recording stuff with whatever they had access to, 4-track recorders or 8-track or whatever they had back then. But we became aware of them when their tune Anything started getting a lot of radio play. Our station down here, 106.3, was almost like a college radio station, alternative rock station. If you're familiar with Matty Pinfield, he was a host on MTV for a bunch of years, and now he's still does like a radio show, and is like a record A&R guy or something. But he was like the program director and one of the DJs at 106.3. It was just an awesome radio station, long gone now, unfortunately. But that's where we first kind of discovered Dramarama. They would play anything, and then they started playing shows down our way, and we'd see them over in Asbury Park, the Stone Pony and the Fast Lane and stuff like that. Just became like a fan of that band. It was almost like one of those scenarios where maybe you're familiar with, maybe in your hometown you had that local band that everybody was fans of and liked, and Dramarama was like that for us, although they weren't necessarily a local band. They were from New Jersey, but they weren't from the Asbury Park area or anything, but they felt like, our band, so, just really loved them from the minute I heard them. Just became a huge fan, would go see them live all the time, buy whatever records they put out. The band had relocated to Los Angeles. Rodney Bingheimer kind of discovered them, so to say, and after they put out a record, and became a big fan and kind of convinced them to move to Los Angeles, which they did, and they've kind of remained there for the most part ever since. But anyways, let's get going with these CDs because I have a lot to go through. This is their debut, Cinema Verite. Edie Sedgwick from Andy Warhol fame is on the cover there. That's what caught Rodney Bingheimer's eye when he was looking through record bins and saw this cover, that he bought the record not knowing anything about the band, and that's how he became a fan. So this has anything. They'd put out an EP before this called Comedy, but this was their first full-length record. Just an awesome debut collection of tunes: Visiting the Zoo, Scenario, Candidate, Some Crazy Dame, Transformation, All I Want, Emerald City. This whole record is just perfect. It's a perfect record in my opinion. You'll see when I'm flipping around, I have tons of little ticket stubs from all the various shows that I have seen going through the years. Their second record, the cleverly titled Box Office Bomb, they went with this similar cover artwork, if you'll notice, with this film strip and this picture. I think this is Jane Mansfield on the cover, and maybe that's her husband. She was married to some bodybuilder whose name I'm forgetting right now. I should probably know it, but I think that's Jane Mansfield. I don't know, I think maybe this was their plan. It seems like the kind of thing a band would think of, like, hey, let's just make every album cover like this. And they did it through two, and then kind of, you'll see got rid of that idea. I think it would have been kind of interesting had they stuck with that, but they when they talk about this record, they kind of think of it as like kind of not successful and disappointing and blah 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 blah. But I love it. I think it's a great another great collection of songs. Some of my favorite are on here. It's Still Warm is a highlight. Out in the Rain, Baby Rhino's Eye, Worse Than Being by Myself, Spare Change, Steve and Edie, which kicks it off. Just another great collection of tunes. Then their third record, they dropped the film strip, as you'll see. This is Stuck in Wonderama Land. And this had, so Anything was like the big, quote unquote, it wasn't a hit, but it was sort of like their signature song. And then when this record comes out, we get another signature song, Last Cigarette. Just another classic tune by them. The album, it's good. It's got a bit of a like, kind of like a bit of a depressing sort of sound to it. Not depressing that's probably a horrible word to use, but it sounds like an album where the band was kind of going through some things and trying to work through them, because there's some slower songs on here and stuff. But it's a great record. It's Hardly Enough's really good. Lullaby is really good. No Regrets, Try, 70s TV is good. But another great record by Dramarama. Then comes my favorite, Vinyl. This is my favorite record by them. And as you may not be surprised to hear, can't even get it on vinyl. As this is like, comes out in the early 90s, vinyl's starting to kind of disappear, and people aren't really pressing everything on vinyl anymore. It's a bummer. I think the only place I've seen this, there's like a promo version I've seen that maybe came out in Australia. It's on like pink vinyl. I wish they could reissue this on vinyl. This is a record I would love to have on vinyl. This back is just completely taken up by ticket stubs. But I love this record. It's my favorite by them, like I mentioned. Just an awesome collection of tunes. I'm covering up all the names of the songs on here. Let's see. Yeah. Till the Next Time kicks it off is great. Haven't Got a Clue. What Are We Gonna Do is their famous Earth Day song that they got the date wrong on. Ain't It the Truth. Tiny Candles, I'd Like to Volunteer. Again, I like all their records. This and the first record to me are like perfect records through and through. No bad tunes on it. Then comes Hi-Fi Sci-Fi. This crazy cover. Really good record. I like this one a lot, and you get the next signature tune by them. You got Anything, Last Cigarette, then this record gives us another signature tune, Work for Food. I remember hearing Work for Food live before this record came out. I remember hearing it and really liking it, and then when this came out, going like, oh, that's that tune I heard them play live. But really good record. Work for Food, Shadowless Heart, Swallowed Your Cure, Where's the Manual, Bad Seed, Right On Baby Baby, just really good. But this is where the band kind of calls it a day. I mean, they never had huge success. They were on like a smaller label, Chameleon Records, that didn't really have the money, so to say, to kind of really push this band the way they needed to or break them out. Then I guess with vinyl, they start being distributed by Elektra. Elektra, I guess, picked up Chameleon Records, and so now they have like a major label behind them. But even with that, I don't know how behind the band Elektra really got, or what kind of real push they did for the band. But they never really kind of broke through, and they never really kind of went to that next level. They kind of remained sort of like a obscure kind of band. But this record comes out, and then the band plays some live shows or whatever, and then kind of calls it a day, and which was a bummer, but that's what happened. John Easdale, the lead singer and main songwriter, would still do like live shows. When I moved to California, I would see him a lot playing just kind of like solo shows. He put out like a solo record, but then they kind of reformed. VH1 did this show called Bands Reunited, and surprisingly, they did an episode on Dramarama because it was great for us fans, but Dramarama didn't really feel like a band that was popular enough to kind of like warrant an episode of this, because you figured, oh, most of the country doesn't know who they are. I mean, on that show they did like Flock of Seagulls and Berlin and bands like that who had like at the very least one big hit song that everybody remembered or knew. And Dramarama was more kind of like everybody knew them in New Jersey and everybody knew them in Southern California, but kind of nowhere else. So it was surprising to see them on there, but it was awesome that they did. So they did that episode and got the original band back together and did a show, I think in the Roxy or something. But then the band, part of the band sort of stuck together and kind of reignited Dramarama. Started doing a lot more live shows as Dramarama again. And, it was great to kind of quote unquote have them back. And then a few years go by and they finally put out a new record called Everybody Dies, which was pretty good. I like it. There's a couple of tunes on here. The title track, Everybody Dies, is great. Physical Poetry is great. Physical Poetry I remember hearing and just being like, holy moly, they're back. It's them. It's like they never left. And it's really good. But the rest of the record is okay. There's a couple other tunes I really like on it. There's a lot of tunes on here that are I don't know, just very like kind of melancholy. I wasn't crazy about them. It just really kind of like downer, but it was just good to have them back, and it was good to hear new music. They did a cover of California Uber Alice that they put out as just like a single. This was like from October 2003. But it was good to have them back, and it was good to have some new music by them and still playing live shows. And 2020, COVID hits, 15 years goes by from their last record, and they finally put out another new studio record called Color TV. And this came out, like I said, in 2020, right when COVID hit and locked everything down. And there's the CD. It's like an old TV turn dial. But I bought this at Jack's Music. All the stores were shut down because of COVID. You couldn't go in. But Jack's, I was able to kind of like contact them and say, hey, can I buy that? And I gave them the money online, and then I just showed up at the back door and knocked and took a few steps back, and they put the bag outside, and I was able to grab it and support the local record store at the same time. So it was really cool, and I remember listening to it that day. And this really kind of returned to form in a way to me. Beneath the Zenith was just like a classic tune. Up to Here is really good. Swamp Song and It's Only Money are older songs that they redid that had been kind of floating around for a while. What's Your Sign had been around for a while. Every Day was one that I remember hearing John Easdale play solo for years and years and years, and always thought it was a great song and wish he would record it and put it on an album. Finally did with the rest of the band. So kind of cool. Hope they continue this. Hope that we don't have to wait another 15 years for more new music. So that's their main studio records. Now, in addition to that, we get Live at the China Club. This I think was from 1990, I believe. It was an EP, just 5 or 6 live tunes. Really good live record though. I really like this, and this one's completely covered by Ticket Stubs. I don't know how many times I've seen them live, but it's been a lot. Then they did like a fan club only release called The Trash Tapes, The Days of Wayne and Roses, Wayne, New Jersey, where they're from. Bunch of demos, some cover songs, some really cool stuff on here that I wish they would have recorded for a proper studio version. But there's lots of cool tunes on here. It's Still Warm, they do a demo of on that's really good. Would You Like the Kids, which I think is a Lou Reed song, is really good. Punishment is a really good song that I don't think has ever been on an album. That would have been cool to get like a full-on studio version of that. But really cool, pick this one up. Then this promo called 10 from 5 was when I think vinyl was released, and now I think it was because Elektra kind of was going to be distributing Dramarama. They put this 10 from 5 out, which is kind of like a best of record. Or maybe this was when Hi-Fi Sci-Fi came out. Yeah, this is when Hi-Fi Sci-Fi came out, not vinyl. My bad. But it's kind of like a best of collection, you know, just to kind of give you a taste of some of the other stuff that Dramarama has in their catalog, some of their other songs, to kind of drum up interest for the band. And I think there's a version of this. It was actually like a dual 2-disc set where you had, I guess, Hi-Fi Sci-Fi was disc 1, and then disc 2 was this like best of collection. And then, speaking of best of collections, Rhino put out an official best of collection in, I believe, 96, 18 big ones, best of Dramarama. It's got some nice liner notes in it. Great collection of songs. I mean, if you're not familiar with this band, this definitely is a great place to start. It's just chock full of, you know, highlights of their whole career. Doesn't come with the ticket stubs that I collected over the years. And then final thing here, this was right around the time of Everybody Dies. They put out this EP, almost like kind of like a highlight reel of the album to come, Everybody Dies. This is called Absolutely 100% Made in New Jersey. John Easdale autographed it there on the bottom. It's just a slim case, just got 5 tracks on here. I think all of these are on Everybody Dies, except for they do a cover of Rainbow Connection, which I don't believe was on the album. I'm pretty sure, but it's got the same artwork as the Everybody Dies. So that is my Dramarama CD collection. Great band. If it's completely new to you, you've never heard of them, and you like alternative rock, classic rock, you know, just really awesome band. Highly recommend you check out some of their stuff. Just a great band. One of those bands that should have been bigger than they were, but it's good that they're still out there, still doing live shows, still recording some new stuff here and there. Just great to still have them around. Just an awesome band. Go see them live if you get the chance as well. Just great show. So that's Dramarama. Let me know if you're familiar with Dramarama, your favorite albums, tracks, if you've seen them live, anything like that. Love to hear from y'all, as always. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time. See you later.